right, everybody. I'll give it a couple more seconds and then we will get started. So my name is Daniel B. Smith. I am the Vice Chair of the Douglas County Democratic Party. I am honored to be introducing our forum this evening. This is the third forum for our 2024 primary candidate season. I am going to introduce our moderator, but before I do that, I do want to mention that this meeting is set up as a webinar. So the audience will be muted. You can put questions in the chat, and the moderator might choose to direct some of those questions to the candidates if we have enough time. I will try and share my screen this moment. Let's see. Just to give y'all an idea of this evening's forums. Let's see. Well, maybe not. This one. Let's see. Can you see the candidate forums there?
Yes.
So we have four different districts that we're looking at this evening: House District 10, House District 47, House District 42, and then Douglas County Commission District 3. Our moderator will introduce the candidates. I am going to quickly go through a couple of the things. These have been shown at the previous forums, but we will have more opportunities to get involved, including more forums, and then also some get out the vote events. If you're watching this on YouTube, go ahead and pause now and take notes. And then here are some important dates for the primary election and some important dates for the general election. With that out of the way, I do want to introduce our moderator. Pat Willer is a member and past chair of the Douglas County Democratic Party. A native Kansan, she studied at Washburn, the University of Copenhagen, and KU. She worked in the field of international education for 30 years, first at KU and then at the University of South Carolina. Upon retirement, she began volunteering for Democratic candidates in Kansas. And since 2014, she has been a precinct committee person. The day after Trump was elected in 2016, she kicked off the covers she was hiding under and has been working even harder for the Dems ever since. So I'm very excited to introduce our moderator for the evening, Pat, and she will be introducing all of our candidates.
Absolutely. Welcome to all, and a shout out to all of our candidates who are here tonight and all of our Democratic candidates that have been taking the leap and joining the fray and being good leaders by participating in this. So we appreciate it, and we will look forward to hearing from you more than from me. I am going to let the candidates, as we go forward through these various parts, each of the candidates will be introducing themselves, and that way we will really get to know more about them than me reading it. So we have 3 different segments that we are doing for one for House District 10, one for House District 47, one for House District 42. I don't think Zach Hawkins for District 10 is going to be available tonight to do it, but if we catch him late, then we'll fit him in. But Suzanne Wikle is here. When we are done with our various House districts, then we will move to county government, and Commissioner Karen Wiley is here. She is running for re-election. And with that, I think we should begin. First of all, we have House District 10, Suzanne Wikle. And Suzanne, I am first of all going to ask you to please introduce yourself to the audience. And on each of the questions, I'll let you know the time limit. 1 minute for your introduction, and then there's a follow-up that we'll give you.
Great. Thank you, Pat, and thank you to the Douglas County Dems for hosting this forum tonight. As Pat said, my name is Suzanne Wikle, and I'm a candidate for House District 10. A little bit about myself. I am a social worker by training, and I've always used that education in the policy and advocacy space. I'm a mom. I'm a public school parent. My husband and I have a son that will be entering 2nd grade at Cordley this year, and we have a daughter who's still in childcare. And we live in the Barker neighborhood here in Lawrence.
Okay. Can you tell us a little bit about the experience, education, and expertise that you have that you will bring to do your job in the Kansas legislature.
Yes, absolutely. I think I'm highly qualified to serve in the Kansas legislature. I'm running for this district in order to put my skills to use for the residents of Lawrence and House District 10. I've worked in the policy and advocacy space for 17 years with a focus on children and family issues, anti-poverty work, health policy, and racial equity policy. In my career, I've spent 7 years working directly in the Kansas State House as an advocate on children's health issues. During that time, I spearheaded the passage of several pieces of legislation and budget items, including an eligibility expansion for children's Medicaid, updating child care provider licensing standards, and legislation that has led to a reduction in infant mortality rates in Kansas. For the past 9.5 years, I've worked for national policy organizations. In this capacity, I work with advocates all around the country to help them identify how their states can provide better economic supports to children and families. Over the course of my career, I've developed a depth of policy knowledge that makes me qualified to craft and debate legislation, engage with stakeholders, and find compromise with other members of the legislature. I have a deep understanding of the legislative process, including inside the Kansas State House and the relationship between federal, state, and local funding and policy. My experience means I will be able to deeply engage from day one and help move the governor's remaining priorities during her last 2 years in office. In addition to my professional expertise, I also have real life experience about many of the issues I'm passionate about. As I said, my husband and I have a child in the public school system, another in the child care system. I have a vested interest in ensuring strong public schools and finding solutions to the child care crisis. As a mom of a daughter, I am very passionate about protecting reproductive rights and abortion access. As someone who has had to take out loans for college and graduate school and has paid those loans back while also trying to save for my children's education, I fully understand the need to ensure higher education opportunities are affordable. So to wrap up, I know I'm about out of time. I think the combination of my professional experience and skills plus my life experience positions me to be a very strong representative for House District 10.
Thank you. Let me follow up, since we're talking about the state legislature. I'd like you to identify 3 critical issues facing the state of Kansas that the legislature needs to address in the next legislative session. And there'll be a follow-up question so you can provide a little more detail about the 3 issues that you choose.
Yes,
Okay.
thanks, Pat. The 3 I identified are affordable and accessible healthcare, fully supporting education systems, and relieving economic stress on families.
Okay, terrific. Of those, if you could rank them 1, 2, 3, and then talk a little bit about each one of them, I think that would be great.
Sure. I ranked affordable and accessible healthcare as number 1, in part because I've worked in the health policy field for so many years. It's where I have the greatest depth of knowledge. In this bucket, this includes getting Medicaid expansion over the finish line, ensuring abortion and other reproductive healthcare remains accessible. I think we'll see a tax on IVF and birth control in the coming years. And in this bucket, I also put common sense gun laws because gun violence is a public health issue. And on that note, I'm proud to share that I have received the Moms Demand Action Gun Sense Candidate distinction. Do you want me to move on to the second
Sure.
topic?
Sure.
The second one I ranked fully supporting education systems. To me, this involves increasing public investments in childcare and early education for those earliest years of young Kansans' lives. This, of course, also includes fully funding K-12, including special education. And beyond funding, this also means that we're trusting our teachers to do what they do best and not try to micromanage the classrooms or the schools. And lastly, in the education bucket for me includes supporting higher education, both to make it more affordable for students and their families, but also because KU is the economic engine of this community, and we need to make sure that state investments remain high in order to help the community thrive from that. And then my last issue I identified as relieving economic stress on families. To me, this involves things I've already mentioned, like Medicaid expansion and helping families afford childcare and higher education. But it also means shoring up our safety net system and reversing some of the policies put in place during the Brownback years that are still around. This also involves restructuring our tax system so that the wealthiest pay their fair share, property taxes are less of a burden for our seniors, and we eliminate as much of the regressive tax policy as we can in this state, including continuing the fight to get the food tax to zero and thinking about other necessities like diapers or female hygiene products that we could put tax at zero.
Thank you. Thank you. Next question is really more about closer to home. Please tell us a little bit about your House District 10. I know you've been visiting a lot of your potential constituents in that area. So tell us a little bit about District 10 and what you are learning and think are important about your district's needs and concerns.
Yeah, so this district did change quite a bit in the last round of redistricting, so last cycle ago. Roughly speaking, House District 10 is Southeast Lawrence, with a couple exceptions of neighborhoods here and there, but essentially Southeast Lawrence. A few demographic points: the largest age group in the district is one I fall in. It's 30 to 44-year-olds. Of households that have children, those households are about half single parents and half two-parent households. And the majority of households in this district are renters rather than owners in their homes. I've knocked on a lot of doors, hundreds of doors at this point. What I'm hearing from people is that they want strong advocates to preserve reproductive health care, abortion. They're very excited about talking to a candidate who has children in the public school system. I don't believe we have anybody from the Lawrence delegation that currently has children in the public school system, and they're very excited to hear about that. And then they talk a lot about economic stress and just, the increased stress to make ends meet every month, and some of the things that we can be doing to address that.
Okay, thank you. An important goal for Democrats is to break the supermajority, and you are all part of the plan. So we're very glad to have you running. But regardless, there will still be major differences between the parties about what's best for Kansas, and you're going to encounter that next year in Topeka. I guess my question would be, is it possible to find common ground, and how do you think you can best advance the issues you care about?
I do think that in many instances there is common ground to be found. When I worked in the State House on children's health issues, I had a lot of experiences working with people of all political stripes to pass legislation and work on budget items. And there's certainly no doubt some legislators that have no interest in compromise. But in my experience, most people want to have the discussions about their ideas and others' ideas and where to find common ground. If I was elected to represent people in District 10, I would focus on relationship building with as many colleagues in the House and Senate as possible, learning how they think about particular issues and how to use their life view to try to persuade them to find common ground with my positions. I do think it's doable. I don't think it's always easy, but I think it's important work to be able to move policy issues forward when we can. And of course, I do think there will be times when no common ground can be found, right? We can't find common ground on abortion and reproductive rights issues or public school funding. Like there are hard lines there. But in those instances where we can't find common ground, it's important to have people who can articulately push back on the bad policies and help hold legislators accountable for their actions. And I can guarantee you, I will also serve that role for House District 10 if elected.
Okay, thank you very much. I think we've got a good sense of what strengths you would bring to the House. What legislative issue are you most passionate about? And then what motivates you and drives you to public service more generally?
Yeah, so I think going back to the fact that I am a social worker by education, and I've always worked in the social policy space. And that's really where my passion is, in the different realms of social policy space, including healthcare, children and family issues, safety net programs, and education. And I think that my professional background has prepared me incredibly well to represent District 10 and be a legislator. But I think beyond that, I think my experience in life as a mother, as someone who was raised by a single mom in Kansas, who benefited from the public school systems in Kansas, really, really positions me well to represent District 10.
So I will let you close for your segment. Why are you asking us for your vote, for our vote? Why are you asking us for your vote?
Yeah, I'm asking for the votes of voters in District 10 because I really do think that I can be a great representative for the district. I would listen to community members. I would engage with the community and the district. I would bring those concerns to Topeka. I would communicate actions in Topeka back to the community. And I really do think that many of the core values I hold align with the voters in District 10. And so that is why I'm asking for their vote.
All right, thank you very much. We wish you well. That is Suzanne Wikle for House District 10, mostly Southeast Lawrence and a little bit, and a little bit beyond. Another candidate there, because that is a contested race, is Zach Hawkins. So keep in mind, we need everybody showing up to vote in July or August. Okay. With that, we will move on to questions for the candidate for House District 47, Mary Williams. Mary, I would like to ask you, before I say that, let me say that because we typically have changed the questions a little bit for those races that are not contested at the primary level. So your questions and Eddy's will be a little bit different and maybe a little bit more streamlined. But that's okay. And we are, if it's okay with you, and we're very eager to hear from you. So let's go ahead and with them. And the first question then would be for you to introduce yourself to the audience. And as part of your introduction, please share what experiences, education, and expertise you have that you will help you when you are doing your job in this legislature.
All right. Well, thank you very much for having me join this forum this evening. Yes, I am Mary Williams. I am from Meriden, Kansas, and I am running for House of Representatives in District 47. I am a middle school language arts teacher and math teacher at USD 340 in Jefferson West. That is also in Meriden, Kansas. I am also a coach for our district and coach 5 different sports, including debate, which I think will put me in a good position for being able to work across the aisle as well. I am a nationally board certified teacher. For those that don't know what that is, it is an additional certification that requires about 600 hours of additional training and reflection in order to be a more stringent teacher and do the jobs that we need to have done. I am also the president of our local union, KNEA union, and I am also a teacher leader consultant for the KSDE. My husband and I were married in 2015, and as you will notice from my logo when you see me out and about, there is a running shoe because I am running for the 47th because we run half marathons across the United States.
Wow. Thank you very much. Okay. I would like to have you also identify 3 critical issues facing the state of Kansas that the legislature needs to address in the next legislative session. And I'll ask you to identify in a minute and then to rank them and spend a little time talking about each one. So you've got up to 4 minutes to play with this, okay?
Excellent. All right. Well, some additional experiences that I've had that will benefit and it will follow into the issues that I consider very important for our district include being a business owner for 12 years. I had TLC daycare centers. I feel like childcare is one of the issues, and I will address that again here in a few minutes. I have also worked with Willow domestic violence a great deal. I found that many women did not have the educational experience to be able to get themselves up and out of bad situations. And so we worked with the Jefferson County penal system, the Jefferson County law enforcement, and I would go into the penal system and help women to attain their GEDs. We were working very well with that, and then COVID kind of stymied that, and we ended up not working with that. I've also worked with the Link Kitchen in Lawrence. So I've had a lot of experience with the homeless population and those that need just an extra step up. So I've had a lot of experience in those areas. I think that's where a lot of where my three main points will come from, is that space where I've worked in. My first critical issue is Medicaid expansion. I do think that we need to just go ahead and get that taken care of. It's been kicked down the road. Our current leaders do not listen to their constituents. That's been asked that we get that done, and that would really help to work into those health issues that that the other candidates have already discussed. So I do think Medicaid expansion is very important. We have local hospitals in my district. Obviously, Lawrence has a larger healthcare system, but Winchester, which is in my district, has a very small hospital that is in very dire need of the Medicaid expansion. Holton, which is not quite in my district, but it's just outside of my district, it also has a small local community hospital that could use the funding of the Medicaid expansion. My second big topic is the injustice of our foster care system. Currently in the state of Kansas, there is a law that allows the state to confiscate Social Security or military death benefits of children that are put into the system. And I feel like that is a travesty. We are one of 38 states that does that, and it needs to be changed. There needs to be an ombudsman put into place that could handle the trust funds of any of our children that are put into that system, that have those benefits that they should have available when they age out of the system, and have those monies that are theirs. They should be theirs, not confiscated by the state. And so I feel like that is a very big point that we need to work on. I feel it's horrible that we have children that are already traumatized by the loss of their parents, the loss of their home, and then they also lose the financial benefits of that travesty. My third point is early childhood education and childcare as a whole. We have many families that have to decide where their children are going to go for childcare. That is often that the cost is too exorbitant for them to be able to have good quality childcare. In addition to that, we have some families that also choose not to have additional children because of the lack of childcare. I can attest that my family and that my daughter and her husband chose to not have more than one for that simple fact, because there was not quality childcare in their community. In addition, the early childhood education system needs to be bolstered. I obviously am very much in favor of public education, since that's my home. So I truly believe that we have to continue to work on that.
Excellent answers. I assume that you don't think your opponent would respond in the same way.
Well, as I will address here in a moment, if you can get an answer from my opponent, that's just wonderful, because most of us can't.
Okay. Well, that leads me to my next question. Thank you very much. And for 2 minutes, you can tell us about that. Please tell us about House District 47. One thing you could do just for us, just in general, would be also sort of what piece of Douglas County are you representing or hoping to represent? And but at any rate, we want to hear about District 47.
Sure. I'm going to see if I can share screen. Oh, it's been disabled, so I won't be able to show you a map. But in the Douglas County 447, I am, for the most part, the western piece over by Clinton Lake and Lecompton. That piece is in the 47th district, so that is the area. Unlike the candidate from District 10, I have not had the opportunity, other than just briefly to get into that district, that piece of my district yet, to really get to know my constituents. But that is the plan over the next month or so, is to actually get out there. And I was at the pie auction, so I was able to meet some people there, but I have not had the opportunity to go into that piece of the district yet. But back to the questions of concerns. The 47th district covers a great deal of area and has a great deal of issues. Most of Jefferson County, just a small piece is not. I love the way they gerrymandered that. And then, and then obviously part of Douglas County. And then we also have 2 communities in Jackson County, along with 1 house in the Denison city. They gave us 1 house out of the city of Denison, which is just quite interesting. Anyway, so the main areas of concern for my constituents, obviously Medicaid expansion, early childhood education and child care, farming issues. Those are a piece of our area that we really have to address. And again, women's health care. Women's health care is a big one. I was extremely excited in November of 2022 when Jefferson County, which is notorious for not being a blue place, they voted no on the question of the value them both. And that was a huge step for our district. And so I'm very much looking forward to working with my constituents to make sure that we go ahead and continue to hold on to those rights that we all deserve.
Thank you. What legislative issue are you most passionate about, and what motivates you and has driven you to public service?
Well, the main issue I feel like that we have to continue to hold on to, in addition to all the others, is our public education. The Supreme Court relinquished the Gannon lawsuit just a couple months ago and put it back into the hands of the legislature. We cannot work backwards to the Brownback era. We have to be able to fund our schools in a way that we can offer good quality education, starting in the younger grades, starting in the early childhood education area, and moving clear through the higher education area. Obviously, higher education is a different piece of that, but it still trickles up. And if we do not become good stewards of those legislative issues, we stand to lose a great deal in Kansas, because we will have people move and we will have people leave our state. Obviously, being able to be good stewards and making sure that our tax base is done well will come into that piece, but we do have to make sure that we are making sure that our education systems are funded well. I am, as I mentioned a few minutes ago, probably one of my biggest concerns beyond that is that our legislators now do not listen to our constituents. I have tried to contact Ron Ellis more than once, and I have received absolutely nothing back. And I always hoped that that was just my problem, but it is not. And so we really have to make sure that the people of our state feel like their vote counts. One of my slogans is your voice, your vote. I am more concerned with everybody voting and feeling like their vote counts, that it isn't left out there that the people can tell us that our votes don't count.
Okay, thank you. I am going to let you close out your section by telling us in yet another way why you are asking for our vote.
All right, I believe that as a lifetime member of the 47th district, I have lived in Jefferson County my entire life. I have had a good bead on what the issues are for our area. And obviously, I have not had the opportunity to delve into the Douglas County area yet, but I do know that many of the same issues are there as well, and that we do continue to work together, that we do have to be able to find a way to get past the legislative gridlock that we find ourselves often in. And we need to be able to work across the aisle, but also stands firm on the issues that we know are not negotiable. And I feel like I would be an excellent candidate to be able for us to be able to push some of those issues forward. So I would love to see us have that vote for the 47th district for the Democratic Party and myself.
Thank you. That is Mary Williams for House District 47. All right, at this point, we will turn to House District 42, Eddy Martinez. And Eddy, I'd like you also to take a couple minutes to introduce yourself to our audience. As part of your introduction, if you can share what experiences, education, and expertise you will bring to the legislature, that would be very helpful. Please go ahead.
Hello, I'm Eddy Martinez. If you ride the buses here in town, you might have seen me. I'm a bus driver. I've been driving buses for about 13 years. I'm on the 6th a lot. I drove the 4 a bit ago. You might know me. Let's see. I'm from Tecumseh, like a little rural area between Topeka and Lawrence. Moved up here over 20 years ago, and I'll probably be here for a while. I'm union. I'm ATU 1754 for the bus drivers union. I'm a union steward. I helped write the bylaws. I'm one of the people that helps negotiate the contracts. So I'm active like that pretty locally. This is my first time running for anything other than my union position. I usually just stick to the grunt work. I usually typing stuff up and proofreading and doing stuff like that. So this has been a really interesting experience so far. I'm hoping I could take some of that experience just working on the contract and applying pressure in different ways to try and get results.
All right, thank you very much. I will ask you to identify the 3 critical issues that facing the state of Kansas that the legislature should be addressing next legislative session. If you can, and if you can identify the 3 issues, and then we want you to rank them and talk a little bit about them for a total of 4 minutes.
Sure thing, yeah. So my 3 issues, I'm just gonna list them in order of the things that I'm most concerned about. Labor, then environment, and then economics. So labor-wise, I am absolutely terrified of some of the Republican agenda and Project 25 and some of the things that are just rushing through other states with strong Republican majorities like Florida. There's a really terrifying anti-collective bargaining bill in Florida. I encourage you guys to check it out. It allows a company to discorporate a union without a vote if the membership falls below 60%. Florida, like Kansas, is also a right to work state that really puts us at a disadvantage in terms of bargaining and holding the significantly more powerful companies that we are negotiating with accountable for breaking the bargaining agreement, for example. The NLRB, the National Labor Relations Board, is in court right now, being sued by some of the richest companies in the United States, Amazon, Tesla, Starbucks. I was personally wounded by. They're attempting to take away the constitutional authority to enforce arbitration. If you're a union person, if you've worked with a union before, you know that arbitration and grievances and decisions from the NLRB is one of the most important tools we have. That is horrifying to me. They're also going after the EEOC, Equal Employment Opportunity Commission, in different ways. A lot of the things that you hear about in the news regarding like DEI and affirmative action are ways that sort of hobble the EEOC's ability to aid collective bargaining and negotiating. It's absolutely terrifying. It's a really horrible environment to be working in collective bargaining right now, but we have a chance to stop it before it could really take over Kansas. Let's see, for the environment, that's something that we just have to start thinking about. There are changes coming to Kansas, like some of the things that I grew up thinking were just going to be long shots in Kansas are ultimately going to be inevitable. Stuff like solar farm, stuff like wind farms. We have a lot of that going on right now. We really have to start thinking about infrastructure for that and sort of deal with a NIMBY issue where people may be in favor of alternative energy and alternative uses of land, but don't necessarily want it close to them or want to look at it or want to invest in it in different ways, which is something I also encounter as someone that's trying to work in public transportation. And yeah, also, I've gone back and forth on whether or not I was going to bring this up, but legal cannabis in Kansas is eventually coming. We cannot avoid it. We may be the last state in the country to adopt it, but we can't afford not to. Like, we literally can't afford not to. Every other state is going to do it, and we really have to start providing infrastructure that's equal, equitable for different folks, and provide infrastructure for the land that it will take. We have a lot of good land to do that. We have to start figuring that out sooner rather than later. Economically, pro Medicaid expansion, we've been talking about it for years. It just hasn't happened. Capers in the new tax bill that got passed, I think just today after the special session, they're underfunding capers. They're continually taking out of the Kansas Retirement Fund. And I used to work at the library in Topeka, and that was amazing. I was able to save up enough money to go back to college for a year, for a while. So yeah, I'm really concerned about that. Those are my 3 issues.
Okay, they're good. They're good ones.
Thank you.
Tell us a little bit about House District 42. And as a follow-up, then also what you are hearing from your folks in the district that will inform you about what their issues and concerns are.
Yeah. House District 42. So I'm in Lawrence. I'm in the Brook Creek neighborhood. So it's part of that way east part of Lawrence. And then it's going to go north into most of North Lawrence. So if you're a North Lawrence person, that might be your representative. It's let's see, parts of Eudora, Easton, Tonganoxie, McLouth. So it's parts of Douglas, Jefferson, like Mary Williams, and a lot of Leavenworth County. So things that are going on. So Jefferson County, I think, like Mary Williams brought up, there was just a report released, I think like a week ago, about things called healthcare deserts. Jefferson County has 3 different healthcare deserts that's been identified on that map. That is something that really concerns me. We had a big win with the healthcare rights for women vote a little bit ago. And I'm really concerned about brain drain. I'm really concerned that if we keep on passing or are allowing to pass without accountability and confrontation, these really ideological anti-healthcare bills, one of the effects it's going to have is creating an even more difficult environment for seeking healthcare for a lot of the people in my district. So I'm really concerned about that.
Okay. Thank you. What legislative issue are you most personally passionate about? And as a follow-up question, then also what motivates you and drives you to public service?
Yeah. Labor, like that is the way that I interact with the world. Like I'm really, through my job, I found a lot of stability in my life. I really love driving a bus. That's all I want to do. I just want to drive a bus in a circle until I retire. I love working with the public, the capital P public. I like seeing everybody. My motivations, I'll be completely honest, I'm just absolutely terrified of what could happen if we keep allowing Kansas to be like an uncontested ground for Republican experimentation. Like the craziest things you could possibly think of are being tried in places like Kansas, including, the Brownback tax experiment. I think, isn't he still like the ambassador for Italy or something like that? Like, it's that type of cronyism for the Republican Party that gets like these crazy rewards, but it really hurts people. It really hurts everyday people. So that I'm running because I'm very afraid that if normal non-politicians don't start stepping up and running in uncontested races, that we're just going to have more of that. So that is, yeah, maybe not the most political answer, but that's I'm very afraid.
I appreciate that. Okay, well, as we close out your segment, it's your turn to do that. And so we will ask you why you are asking us for our votes.
Okay. I'm asking you for your votes because it is possible to win the 42nd district. There hasn't been a Democrat running in this district for 18 years, so it's run completely unopposed. Lance Neely is the incumbent. He won the last election with 6,000 votes. And even in the other elections that Democrat was able to run, they were not soundly defeated. They were getting 30, 40, upper 40% of some of the votes. It's absolutely possible to win this district. Yeah, I'm asking for votes, but I'm also asking for help. I'm a first-time candidate. I need as much support as possible. If you're out there listening and you have like a pet, a political agenda that you really want pushed forward, now is the perfect time to offer me some advice on some things I should be looking to get into. If you've run before and you want to pass on some of that knowledge, I could really use that. I'm still looking for a treasurer. I am completely overwhelmed, but I'm getting more and more optimistic as this goes on. I'm meeting more and more people. So yeah, looking for votes and help, and it's possible.
Very good. Thank you very much, and may the wind be at your back.
Thanks.
All right. We have had a pretty good view of what needs to happen in our House districts. So at this point, we will turn to questions for our candidate for Douglas County Commissioner, District 3, and that is current Commissioner Karen Wiley, who is running for re-election. And Karen, welcome, and we're glad to have you here.
Hi.
I would like to have you introduce yourself to our audience. The dog just came in again. I'll shut the door right before you do. As part of your introduction, please share what experiences, education, and expertise you bring to your job as a Douglas County Commissioner. 2 minutes.
Sure. So hello, I'm Karen Wiley. I'm chair of the Douglas County Commission, and I'm running for re-election in the 3rd district, which includes West Lawrence, Lecompton, and the west half of the county. To this commission work, I bring a unique intersection of nerdy academic science and blue-collar practicality, which, as it turns out, is a really powerful fit for building sound policy. I have a BA in environmental studies and a PhD in geography, both from KU. My research and teaching covered the interactions of soils, ecology, and climate. Much of my career, though, has been as an entrepreneur, co-owning several businesses, including building affordable housing and running a design and manufacturing company building forklifts. Currently, I work as a nonprofit consultant for mainly Black-led health, housing, and human service organizations in urban Kansas City, which gives me great insight into how neighboring communities approach this work with lessons for Douglas County. I have over 25 years of volunteer experience across my community. My current service includes 12 years and counting as a volunteer firefighter, 8 years on the board of the Kansas Rural Center, 5 years as president or vice president of BRAC, a housing nonprofit in Baldwin, 3 years as secretary of the NAACP Legal Redress Committee, And at least in the last year, I served as the fellow in residence at the Dole Institute of Politics, leading a discussion series on sustainability issues in Kansas. I'm a past commissioner and chair of the Lawrence Douglas County Planning Commission. I serve broadly and faithfully throughout Douglas County. As a PhD scientist with a background in soils and ecology, a history of hands-on entrepreneurship in housing and manufacturing, and my current work with urban nonprofits, I am a necessary voice for making grounded, evidence-based decisions that move us forward in the areas of environmental stewardship, economic growth, and equitable opportunity. As a county commissioner, I listen to all points of view and weigh competing values to find the best win for the community. I'm eager to continue to offer my time and talent as commissioner.
Thank you. You are just finishing up your first term as a commissioner. Is there something that you would like to highlight or share with us in particular?
I would highlight the tremendously difficult conversations that were alluded to earlier around renewable energy, specifically utility scale solar generation. These require a delicate balance between the needs of local environments and local neighbors, with the larger responsibility to the next generation under a climate change reality. In April, the Douglas County Commission authorized the first step towards a large solar installation under our strict regulations that require supporting wildlife habitat, co-locating local food production, and benefiting the long-term health of the soils that will host solar panels for 25 years. We secured protections that should be the model for communities around the country. In this issue, my academic background in soils, ecology, and climate is critical to getting this right. I thoroughly support rooftop solar and think we should do everything we can to expand its use like I have at my home, but unless we drastically decrease our energy needs, it will not be remotely enough.
Okay, thank you very much. Again, the same question, but this time when we look at Douglas County, please identify 3 critical issues facing Douglas County that need to be addressed. And then if you can rank them in terms of urgency or importance, and talk a little bit about each of your 3, that'd be great for about 4 minutes. And really, we're doing okay on time, so we're not
Okay. During my time on the commission to date, Douglas County has made progress on equity, economics, and environment. So those are my 3 issues. We've worked to address equity through supporting the opening of a 24/7 mental health treatment and recovery center operated by Bert Nash, and partnering with the city of Lawrence on the action plan to address chronic homelessness called A Place for Everyone. We've worked to address economics through lowering the county tax mill levy more than any commission has in 20 years, and initiating a pilot program for property tax relief for seniors and disabled veterans. And we've worked to address environment through adopting the Douglas County Open Space Plan and our first climate resilience plan called Adapt Douglas County. We've also approved 2 renewable energy projects, the Stull Solar Farm and the Kansas Sky Energy Center. There's much more work to do to support affordability and economic development while stewarding our environment and supporting our vulnerable neighbors. And of course, these issues are all intertwined. So resilient environments save money and protect people. But since we're beginning the county budget season, I'll start with economics. So in the long term, the way to increase affordability in our community is to diversify our economy. Expanding commercial and industrial employment centers means more local jobs and a lower burden on residential property taxes. The county supports new, growing, and relocating businesses as a partner with the KU Innovation Park and through multiple initiatives to support diverse entrepreneurs. This year, I'm excited to launch a pilot program for property tax relief for qualifying seniors and disabled veterans. This program is crucial to supporting residents on fixed incomes while we tackle long-term affordability challenges like building more housing. I'm cautiously hopeful that we will decrease our county mill levy for the 3rd year in a row, but this will only make a meaningful impact for Lawrence residents if the city also commits to affordability. For equity, Douglas County has invested significantly in crisis care and alternatives to incarceration. The goals are to alleviate the suffering of individuals and help people get their lives back, but with the understanding that these efforts should also save community dollars as fewer people access emergency services in the jail. As these programs have come online, there's a need to take a deep dive and evaluate them for effective outcomes and efficient use of funds. We're building an ecosystem of care, and we need to understand how each of the parts function best together. As the county looks to create more supportive housing, which is our part of the partnership with the City of Lawrence to address chronic homelessness, you will always hear me centering the needs of our aging population. Seniors make up a large portion of our supportive housing needs, and we'll be addressing their issues more fully over the next term. As always, county work needs to elevate the voices of people with lived experience and treat all of our residents with respect. For environment, we all want to leave a healthy environment for the next generation. County land decisions need to balance the global issues of climate change and biodiversity loss with the local needs for energy, agriculture, and housing. My experience as a regenerative farmer is a great asset here. While we've adopted a new open space plan and a climate action plan, the next commission gets to determine how we implement these. A starting point will be to enhance the impact of our current county managed lands at Lone Star Lake, Wells Overlook, and others. And a second step will be to convene community conversations around the future of the Wakarusa River Valley, remembering that we only move forward if we have willing landowners and land that meets community values like biodiversity, public access, flood control, and cultural significance. There is much to do to support progress in equity, economics, and environment over the next 4 years. My deep experience in policy and my broad background make me a valuable partner for that work.
Excellent. Thank you. Please tell us a little bit about District 3. We're all getting used to the new county commission districts, and I know District 3 has changed a bit, maybe not too much, but a bit. But if you could tell us about District 3, and as a follow-up, how do you balance district needs and concerns with county-wide concerns?
Sure. So District 3 covers the west half of the county, including West Lawrence, the city of Lecompton, and 5 rural townships. Schools in my district include Southwest Junior High, Sunflower Elementary, Quail Run, Langston Hughes, Lecompton Elementary, and 3 private schools, Corpus Christi, Raintree, and Bishop Seabury. Students in the rural area attend 6 different school districts. For recreation, we have Clinton Lake, Lone Star Lake, Rock Chalk Park, the Jayhawk Club, DeVictor Park, and Lecompton Museums. We host 2 senior living complexes, Brandon Woods and Pioneer Ridge. Not surprisingly, our interests and needs vary wildly across my district. In Lawrence, much of the district is residential with some employment centers like healthcare and restaurants. Issues there include elder care, education, and housing affordability. In Lecompton, history serves as an economic driver, and concerns include infrastructure and property taxes. I have the largest rural area of any of the districts, and the preservation of existing rural character is key to the folks who live there. Framing those within my 3 topics, equity means making sure I hear from the broad range of voices in my district, recognizing that in instances of justice involvement, substance use, and mental health can strike any family. For economics, we need a thriving, diverse economy that shifts the tax burden away from residences. This should include supporting entrepreneurs and growing businesses, including agricultural businesses. Tax dollars should be held to a high level of accountability. For environment, as we experience growth pressures, balancing new developments and land identified for open space will ensure that residents secure the benefits of resilient local ecosystems. So we've always served in the county commission, we've always served as districts, and the commissioner for each area serves as the first point of contact for residents' concerns and make site visits as needed. I expect to shop, eat, and hold meetings in my district whenever possible, and work to understand the past, present, and future for my constituents. When it comes to decisions, though, the needs of the county as a whole are of the greatest importance. No one is served by pitting one neighborhood against another, and commissioners need to work together for the good of the broader community.
Thank you. What issue that is most a personal passion for you, and then also what motivates you and drives you towards public service?
So if I get to pick one main area of passion, I would say the health and healing of our soils. I love policies that restore soil ecosystems with diverse plant communities and limited disturbance, and that create habitat for insects, birds, and mammals while growing healthy, nutritious, nutrient-rich foods. Our utility solar regulations are built around these soil health principles, and I'm also excited to see what options the open space program will have to support our most vital and our most underappreciated ecosystem. For why I serve, I was raised on Douglas County history even before I lived here, including stories of the generations of my family that have been here since 1857. I love this land and its people in all of our complexity. I've served my community in many roles, and applying this experience as your commissioner has been an honor. I will continue to stand for open civil discourse and apply my scientific background to result in well-researched, data-driven decisions that reflect the needs of our community. As we expand this year from 3 to 5 commissioners, we need to see that the 2 new districts elect smart, dedicated public servants that are dedicated to working together for the greater good and the value of all members of our diverse community. As your Douglas County District 3 Commissioner, I'm dedicated to remaining open to new perspectives, striving to heal across factions, and honoring the diverse stakeholders of our vibrant Douglas County. This is the best chance we have to make meaningful progress and leave a better Douglas County for the next generation.
Thank you very much. As we close out this last segment, is there anything you would like to say about why you are asking for our votes?
Well, sure. I'm Commissioner Karen Wiley, and I'm asking for your vote because I'm the right leader to address the complex challenges facing Douglas County. My varied volunteer and professional roles allow me to harness the strengths of our 3 universities, our businesses, nonprofits, and residents in addressing community problems. I maintain healthy, productive relationships with a diverse range of local stakeholders and bring a critical understanding of Douglas County's rural communities. My professional work in nonprofit consulting for health, housing, and human services has me at the forefront of social issues every day to see how nearby local governments partner with their nonprofits. My many years as an entrepreneur have made me fiscally scrappy, and I push for strong transparency, efficiency, and outcomes in every project receiving taxpayer dollars. It's vital that we have a commissioner with an environmental background like mine to balance the long-term goals for housing, energy, and ecological protections. So I would thank you for your vote in the 3rd District as we strive to address equity, economics, and environment in the next term.
Thank you very much. This brings us to the end, 3 House districts and one county commission district. Thank you all very much. I don't see any questions in the chat. But I guess we could let people have one last chance if you want to put something in. But we have some very, very good candidates here, and we appreciate you spending the time with us tonight. And we so appreciate your leadership and your willingness to step up and serve. It is very precious.